Fraserburgh sits on the northeast coast of Scotland in Aberdeenshire. Originally it was a small collection of fisher huts known as Faithley. The hamlet stood on the estate of Philorth, belonging to the Fraser family, a branch of the Frezels from Anjou in France, who came to the area in the 12th century. One of them, Alexander Fraser, married Mary Bruce, a sister of King Robert Bruce, and was Lord Chamberlain of Scotland between 1319 and 1326. His grandson, Sir Alexander Fraser, married Joanna Ross, a daughter of the 5th Earl of Ross in 1375, and through the marriage obtained the barony of Philorth that same year. Faithley was purchased by the Frasers in 1504 and was granted a royal charter to become a free borough of barony in 1546, with all the rights and privileges that came with that. In 1601, it was granted Borough of Regality status. The 8th Sir Alexander of Philorth was held in high regard by James VI. When he inherited the estate from his grandfather in 1569, his father having died in 1564, he improved the lands and modernised them. He laid out the town of Fraserburgh and procured a charter from the king to make it into a borough of regality in 1592. In the centre of the town he had a market cross erected. Originally it was a 6-sided building with 3 6-sided abutments, occupying a space of 500 square feet, and was surmounted with a 12-feet high pillar bearing the royal arms and the Fraser of Philorth arms. Over the years it was considerably altered. Dating from 1603, the shaft was replaced in 1736, with a granite base erected in 1845. The finial was replaced in 1988, and it was resited in 1997. He also developed the harbour, and a new harbour was begun in 1576. By 1570, the Frasers had built Fraserburgh Castle at Kinnaird Head, and the first church, the old parish church, was built in the town the following year. This was later replaced by a new kirk in 1803 under the ministry of Alexander Simpson. During World War II, the church was nearly destroyed. In one bombing raid, a piece of metal fell through the church roof and chipped a piece off the First World War memorial pulpit, with the mark being referred to as Hitler's mark. That was on the night of Tuesday, 5th November, 1940. Fraserburgh was first hit on 16th July that year, with the worst raid that November night, when a public house was hit. 23 people were killed and 14 injured. A department store called Benzie and Miller had caught fire and had spread to the picture house across the road, and thanks to it illuminating the night sky, the Germans targeted the town and hit the commercial bar. The second bomb dropped that night fell on parkland and created a huge, deep crater. Although raids continued intermittently, the final one was in 1943. Sir Alexander proposed a university for the borough and procured a charter in 1592. He began to build a college with a quadrangular tower 3 stories high, and a principal, the Reverend Charles Ferm, was appointed in 1600, but the project was shelved less than a decade later. However, it came into its own when in 1647 An outbreak of plague in Aberdeen caused the students of King's College in the city to be transferred to Fraserburgh. Today, the town has an affiliated campus of the North East Scotland College. As for the town's administration, Sir Alexander became its first provost, and he retained his right to appoint yearly, with approval from their predecessors, 2 bailies, a dean of guild, a treasurer and a council. This setup was successful as the town flourished through new trade. The inhabitants were so confident of their future, they coined the rhyme, Aberdeen will be green and Banff a borough toon, but Fraserburgh will be a broch when all the brochs are doon. This gives rise to its nickname to this day, the broch. It's said this rhyme was attributed to Thomas the Rhymer, but this could simply be a legend. Another rhyme attributed to him is, while a cock crows in the north, there'll be a Fraser at Philorth. This proved to come true. Sir Alexander Fraser of Philorth married Margaret Abernethy, the eldest daughter of George Abernethy, 7th Lord of Saltoun, and on the death of the 9th Lord Saltoun, Alexander Abernethy without issue in 1669, the son of Sir Alexander and Margaret inherited the title. The Fraser line still holds the title Lord or Lady Saltoun, as well as Lord Philorth. At the time of the Napoleonic Wars in the early 19th century, Fraserburgh Harbour, which was already established as a shipbuilding hub, was seen as a place of refuge for British ships trading in the North Sea, so it was developed thanks to a government grant of £50,000, with new piers and jetties built. It now covered an area of 6 Scots acres. Thanks to the improvements, more shipping arrived, and 40 years later the harbour was deepened. It was also extended again, this time by over 17 Scots acres to the north, with a breakwater being built, running from the end of the pier. Further expansion has followed in the intervening years at the harbour, as has the town. Herring fishing was one of the mainstays until the industry gradually collapsed in the 20th century. At the height of the herring season, between the months of May and September, as many as 700 boats filled the harbour at any one time, and it provided employment for the herring girls who gutted the fish and packed them into barrels at the curing station. The population doubled during the season due to the fishermen and herring girls. Out of season, work included making tens of thousands of firkins, or small barrels. Thanks to this booming industry, there was also an increase in trade, a change to the local dress and diet, an increase in wealth, and new houses sprang up. In 1840, Fraserburgh became a police borough. This allowed the royal borough to have new rights and responsibilities, including powers to pave the streets, introduce gas and later electric lighting, and improve sanitation and water supplies. Police commissioners also had responsibility for employing police officers, collectors, and watchmen, as well as preventing disease from spreading in the town. Later they were involved in planning applications, creating new streets and licensing. They were in place until 1975. People of note from Fraserburgh include General Alexander Fraser, 17th Lord Saltoun, traditionally 16th Lord, the gallant defender of the Chateau of Hougemont during the Battle of Waterloo on 18th June 1815. His statue was placed above the entrance of the townhouse in December 1859. The townhouse itself dates back to 1855, replacing the dilapidated early 17th century toll booth, which was demolished and replaced with the new building. It was extended in 1906 to accommodate a police station. Other people of note include Thomas Blake Glover, a merchant known as the Scottish Samurai, Bill Gibb, a fashion designer, several footballers, and Dennis Nielsen, the serial killer. Above the town lies Kinnaird Head, with its lighthouse incorporating the tower of the castle built by Fraser in 1570, giving its name to Castle Street and Castle Terrace. The original lighthouse was nothing more than a lantern placed in the tower of the old castle in December 1787. Today, Fraserburgh is the largest shellfish port in Scotland and is a major port for white and pelagic fish. It has an established lifeboat station, the first lifeboat station being established in 1806, followed by the Royal National Lifeboat Institution station, which opened in 1858. It was the first official RNLI station in Scotland. If you enjoyed this episode of Scotland's History, please like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.